So first, I would like to say thank you to Campo Sodaji. Thank you for taking a long flight from China to here. So we all have a chance to sit here and listen to his speech. So thank you. So I came from Hong Kong, and I have been studying the Tibetan Buddhism for more than 20 years since I was a kid, affected by my mom. So I studied the Tibetan Buddhism not for specific goals, but for a strong will. It's like I'm always trying to purchase an approach to my inner, the inner peace. So my question here is, I'm wondering, what should I do, or how can I do to improve myself, or to achieve a better accomplishment, or at least make a bigger improvement? Thank you, and that's my question.
다 냠랭 그 능네 당아주 덕바침부 추공도 시내나 드니 지 랑 직바 마연바 드니 연등 그 샤와 강다 강치나 로아심신 탐츠라 지 판바 드는 내급 그 판바당 타르급 대와 단 대양다 바즈의 공송나 삼교 드니 그 삼로거 땅에 연등 그 대시 드니 지 샤와양 다리가 된잡 접는 때 remji ranga tariga semkham layang da ngonda manjawa ga tene dekchi zidan yongre cherezena ngatsu dingor de ga ta parchir chama da na da zo dak don da nirwa defteni kirongre da yenna te na shokor tawa da dis manja sa yore da yenna ya dongor tang ga dingor tamchi kum jongkong da dak songre da yendi jampang ga tariga semdo ane yang da lojong shi gizini tene nyamleng ga tariga tene 다지 야라 롱돈나 대양 용제 대전도는 뜨고 샤와 되고요 잔라양 판바다리 remji 저 용제 머리 전더라나 소소라 니바몽은 돈 용제
As a Mahayana practitioners, I think what would be useful to really improve our practices and so on is first of all really try to think more about benefiting to others. You try to cultivate this kind of intention or motivation that I wanted to maximize my benefit to all other sentient beings, and giving them help with their temporary need as well as their long-term need, which is attaining enlightenment. If you have set yourself with this kind of attitude, I think it will be useful. And then one of the advantages about constantly thinking about the happiness of other sentient beings is it will bring you actually much stronger in terms of attitude. Your mind, have a much more resilient experience when you care more about others' need. We kind of constantly notice that the majority of the suffering has come through this eccentric, self-centered approach. This constant self-cherishing thought brings us many problems. Maybe some Westerners, they would not agree with that. But from our experience, we've realized that, constantly thinking about our own happiness, it brings more suffering. So if you really kind of transform that attitude and constantly focusing on the other's happiness, shifting from your own need to really try to fulfill the other's need, and then you will really experience this kind of good result for your practices. And it also brings more calm to your mind in general. So since we have a limited amount of time, I wanted to really make sure that you ask a simple, straightforward question. I will also try to answer in the most kind of straightforward way. This will help more people to ask questions. And please raise your hand if you have questions.
Yeah, my question is, in the beginning you talked about technology, modern technology, and how it's increasing and it's very important today. And yet thousands and thousands of students are coming to study with you Tibetan Buddhism. Why do you think so many students would study Tibetan Buddhism and not want to study technology in the modern world?
산을 롭좀 치고 매제나 산을 롭좀 치고 요래 제레제나 드니 다 당상 아주 베날 곰바가 나이난자가 이 참마가 다 짐처 때 롭좀 치고제 다 뇌나야 차를 그 럭차 다리 배슈시다나 드니 지 추처샤나야 탁동 다리 쉬고요래 대전다나 다가 다 차를 담제로하건다나 그 페이스북에 트위터에 드니 지다 랑전제 대 랑전 그 카버지 내조 탐치 외쇼양 시권데 내라 로종 시권데 다 레다는 이나 땡이 됐어 대 산이 코나가 손조아마 그 돈덕대 탁취 용거요 말에 그래서는 차르기 야르 예시 제거네 되네 쇼무보 야르 예시 제거 나 셈나 뇨자 모스 요래 디네 급나다 추데라 때네나 코란수 데킨 소르도 기고 나데 디르타스리
So there are two answers to this question. The first answer about your comment about the modern technology, then still people go to study with him. He said, oh yeah, we do study a lot about science and technology because we use technology for live broadcasting our teachings. We use Facebook, we use Twitter. So it's not just like we're studying Buddhism. We study and we use modern technology, so don't worry about that. Then the answer to the actual question is, I agree that although we can make so much improvement in terms of scientific research, scientific result, there's no doubt it will bring benefit for the understanding about physical, like arenas and the matters and so on. At the material level, the science can really bring this benefit. But the problems, I think, in our kind of inner problem, if you like, or the problems associated with our mind, the development of science does not directly correspond to this. People still have a stress, even actually bring more technological improvement and progress, sometimes bring more inner confusion and problem. And the kind of inner problems are not addressed by the science. Therefore, people seek Dharma or religious teaching to overcome their suffering.
Thanks so much. I am a PhD student and come from China, and I major in liver fibrosis. Because of this major, liver fibrosis.
Okay, liver.
Yeah. And because of this major, I have to do a lot of animal experiments.
Okay.
And because I am a Buddhist, I also follow the Buddha. Every time when I do these experiments, I feel very suffering. And also I feel I don't have the critical mind. Because I think everyone makes a lot of efforts doing these researches. So I just confused that whether I suitable for research. And sometimes I wondering whether can I just change my major, such as philosophy, because it can benefit more people. And but I just confused. So could you give me some suggestions for my future? Thanks a lot.
그때 갑쇼길 고물고 또 랑라라래요래 가르테 땅서 나와 산지 바즈 그거니 나 샘싱 그 쪽저나 도도 단단 그 드바요래 얘나 가르테 랑가 갑쇼데 지 길지 그 고르크 메송나 데라양 다리고 샤하시 되네 생각도 이제 다 된자요래 되네 아직 갑쇼데 랑가 지르나 가고 삼게지 있나요 다 데르터시나요 저는 저도 되네 랑가 르바가 딱시지다나 다가 다 된다시나 가레마 또 저만 게 대란데네 제나 양 다리가 다 점선단 담바스 제탑고요 말에 가라는 거니.
So regarding changing your field, Rinpoche said that you have to make the decision. In Buddhism, if you are really killing animals, of course you engage in many sin. But if you are not killing animal, but if you sometimes have to engage in activities to do with animal, there are certain, like rituals for doing confession, reciting mantras to purify your negative deed. There are some, teachings and practices you can do. But regarding choosing your field, That I think you will be the best suited to make that decision. You can rely on logics, reasons, what is best for you. And I may not be the best person to give you this advice because I really do not have the entire information at hand.
I'm going to ask the question in English.
And then you can-
So my question is, so lots of times when I've gone to Buddhist teachings, there's this mention of developing a sense of peace of mind, right? So my question to Kimpola is, do you think that there is a universal sense of peace of mind, or that people, develop their individual as well as maybe a communal sense of peace of mind? But basically, if I were to ask, what does a sense of peace of mind mean to Kempola, can he talk more about that?
Shirtungo, Semke Jodina, Tati Marana Susunguna, Susina, Marana Susuga, Teni Le Jayomare. Teni Le Manjani Zonte, Teni Tsamagyan, Teni Kuale, Tsamagati, Top Nyamda Topgonina, Pecalere. Teni Zamolunga, Musosoga, Perna, Teni. 다 지금 톱탕이나 톱탕 때라더니 가래 때 톱탕 때 콜라 집티 때게요래 가와 때게요래 가래 때라 톱탕 때 콜라 셈나나 야때 가와 때게 톱고요 말에 되는 가쪽 빠른저리나야 잘알 되니 지 르지 잘락다 티모고 양 가래라 때게요래 가래라 때게요 말에 대내나 나추고요 뭐 요도 쪽라 때게거나 백갈래래 이나야 뭐망 제사자 다 당상에 나가 수 야낙 부셔네 있네나 로총 mambo tene ta chowa ga non shi yon na dana devjin dana chi yang chi tene ta lega ga na ya jera chi ne timo yin ne na ta na chu ma jang ko nga pe ko ha le ba ta re seminar dengor yon ne ta rang ga chok chat gu sam na mo yon na jima na chu jang chi ron de tene jing jing teng gu sha mo zu ga na har tene ya dong ne tam da ge yang na tene sim pe lopo chi yon na ten ra pe mambo yon re de chi rang the Zen Zangzing Mar Tonga Tana Yonde, no Shona Tena, Mount Chesaga, Nachu, Ningunina, Unitane, Jedit, Pertoko Sanga.
So the question about the peace of mind and how is it related to individuals or the universal experience. As a Buddhist, we believe in like individuals who have a different karmic, if you like, consequences. We all have a different karmic background, if you like. And because of that, our need is different. One cannot provide a general solution that will really fulfill the need of all of the people. So from that point of view, like a more individual. And why we say it's like an individual-based approach, it's because you can see that the economic development brings happiness to certain people, and for certain people it brings negative impact, right? Because our need is different. Likewise, like say money or any other product, we don't have a universal appreciation. That's because the effect of the product, is different to different individuals. So that's my answer. Regarding Buddhist approach to peace of mind, of course, Buddhist teaching wouldn't be suitable to all the people. I agree with that. But a certain type of people, especially among the young, people who are really stressed out by the modern society, they found it very useful. I had experience of talking to youngsters in different places. They were really suicidal before because of the stress from their career, competition in their market, and so on. But then having started Buddhism and continually practicing it, and they later reported me back that their mental kind of strength is much stronger now. And the Buddhist teaching and their practices have a good result on them. But that's only my answer.
My question is, when you take care of people in suffering, so how can you help yourself to be not trapped by their suffering, so you overburden yourself that you become stressed and depressed as well. And is there any way to help ourselves to avoid that kind of situation, or maybe not avoid, just to deal with it?
사실은 베르나게 잠발라 롭체니나테 디 롭체기 저름고 초던 아랑라야나 셈나 등을때요래 레타나 옛나야 아주 타바 침불감나 테네 다진 냠더지와 잔지 등을당 덕걸은 덕거다리 되와지 산라 준제 데나 잔지 등을때 덕걸 랭게스 이니나 랑기 등을 매발 마스 다가 딱 잔지 등을때야나 다 총은 로지다나 대전도는 잔지 등을때야나 매번 로지 다 된자 연거 데니나 지 연등 거다 셈나 냥지 침보 할레바 냥지 침보 요사소이나 데네 잔라 냥지 그거도는 랑 등을 용레마 도잼 데 마임 발라 잔나로 그럼 그 좋다 랑 등을 용지도 배 용용을 삼고요 다데란 저게 오늘 고문도 하네
So I really didn't understand the question in kind of what context you're talking about this. Generally speaking, in the Buddhist tradition, we have this exchange of oneself with others, or the taking others' suffering upon oneself. This is a unique instruction in the mind training teaching, in which the helper is amazing, compassionate being, and when he or she feels compassion to the person who's going through illness and so on, then they use that kind of opportunity to practice Dharma, to really visualize and taking the other's suffering upon oneself. So they are teaching that we do to try to reduce the sufferings on others. And that's one way of dealing with this kind of difficult situation. Then, but not that many people, in my understanding, really go into suffering because of somebody else going through suffering. So I really didn't understand the context in which you are talking about this.
옛날 잔나 로름 제티다 랑랍 되어요 근데 네 고르모 데 로마 데 로요 말하는 저 고르모 진짜데 오네 코랑 가근도 그런 가근도 nga 다리 빼 다리 나르그 고르모로 손으로 빼 셈노를 가고 있다.
From my experience, I get actually delightness. I'm happy when I'm able to help others. For example, I give scholarship to others. So when I give scholarship to this, like impoverished student, and they get really excited and happy, and they're really doing well, and I get happiness out of observing that. That's my experience.
So let's take an example. If you're taking care of your parent, like say I take care of my father, he's very sick, he feels bad, and therefore I feel bad because I'm trying to take care of him. I want him to feel better, but I can't fix it, right? Mm-hmm. So this is the feeling, like a bad feeling of suffering when somebody else is also sick or suffering. That maybe a lot of us, if we're taking care of our family, we can feel that way, just too sad about it, rather than happy to be taken care of.
I see.
다때 가수는 그 빼나 길가 난치서 지요라. 다 된저지 나때 등으로 때지 빼나 가래서 거죠. 다지 빼나 냠렘바 지 이화지 있네나 다 등으로 때 para 샹첩 공고를 길지는 된다고 나추고 갔나 요래. 다때 마엠바가 지 마수 나추고 왕도신이나 대 파만 안에 있나 파말 간에 파만 전에 있나 된 고로하게 추니츠래야 대 랑지 득만도 연 말에 쪼도 텔라다리가 야르 님그르시고 독소래 딱 님그르도 여보시네나 되네 랑기 등을 때야나 다 말아 진존제 가르테 텔라 님그르 마시나 랑 등는 잠도 텔라 판바이 만득 삼고.
So in Buddhist practice, when we do the bodhicitta practices, when we see others experiencing suffering from birth, aging, illness, and so on, we use this kind of experience really to remind us the sufferings of the samsara. So for the Mahayana practitioners, they would use this kind of experiences really for your spiritual practices. So that's one example. But for others, really, as a Buddhist, what we have to do is to overcome the stress. We have to accept the reality of the samsara. worldly, what you call in English, not the samsara. How would you translate samsara into English? Cyclist, yeah, existence. You have to accept that we are all basically age. We all experience, aging, illness, death. That's a reality. There's nothing we can do about it. So accepting that, maybe reduce your stress, and then try to really do your best to give care. And when you give care and when you make improvement, that maybe brings some kind of pleasure or delightfulness for doing that. So that may be, I think, approach. You can answer two questions together. I'll also...
First of all, thank you very much for the great talk. And also I want to thank you for helping me become a Buddhist. Like over 10 years ago, I read the book of 智海浪花, Wisdom Ocean, the wave of the Wisdom Ocean. And at that time, I was preparing, and that helps me to become a Buddhist. Okay, I want to thank you for that. And currently, I am a researcher, as well as a Buddhist. I am a neuroscientist and biomedical engineer. And also, I'm practicing meditation every day. So I would like to have your advice on two things. One, as a researcher, in the research tradition, people try to avoid you being a judge as well as a player. So how would you like to comment and give us advice from the research point of view of avoiding this situation?
Hi, I'm a Buddhist, and I just came back from India 2 weeks ago. So I was doing a pilgrimage trip to Bulgaria and Kushinagar. And everyone knows that Buddha came originally from India, and then he was propagating Dharma in India. But we know that Buddhism is almost non-existent in India anymore. And you also mentioned in the talk just now that many Tibetans, they live in India nowadays, and they have very little of interaction with the local Indians. So I'm just curious, so what is the biggest challenge in propagating Buddhism in India? Why is it, it came from India, but why is it so hard to bring it back?
저런 그 점지 시간에 겁나 때라지 양지에다나 대전다나 잠바다리 지양 고요 말에 체르제나 원나 왕보당 라짜이나 아더니 가상한데 저작권에 롭자지 그런 거 네티 라짜가 다르다 찬릭들라때 점지 따소 등원에 먹지가 라짜되는 범범수모 싸모 주의처럼 등원에 지 가서 되는 그 찬릭대 풀도 춘바도 통요 놓고 근데와 대내나 때라지 냥제 검지다 된자 고는 말이 점지 코닝 오거니나 데네다리 라스타 점지나 디 점제도 돈주 대가르쳔 버려서 거요 지라서 네 저간이 바가 데네 야거그 나추이나 다 가상대라이나 아마 야거그 다리 추도 스라다리 용데 데네 당상이나 야거그 나추도 데네 오빠가 다리 추도 하라 다리도 돈나리 데네나다가 다 마온 내끝나야나 다 보바가 띠지 셔나 당상 다리 보바가 자와차가 제뉴운용단 이전도 쇼칸트네나 가스칼레 몽보지고 거래라 얘네야 당상 다주 보바 수시 사즈다 데네다리 스리랑카 데네다리 데 상갈라즈라 상갈라가 다리 그때니 추다나 데네 야나카 다리 그파가네나 데네 탁천거 다 샹초고 그파가 추나다 다 된자야 몽보지도 용건데 데네나 마온 이렇게나 데네 오졌다 샹졌다 로직 추데 참마대야 야거 랑게 나마가 추데 다 뇽뇽스 송원데 디즈 요 말다 옛나야 다데야라 다르도지레 삼기고 다리 예치요가.
Back to your answer. As a researcher, you can be critical thinking. You can, research a subject versus object. You don't have to really make any kind of a role in between by Buddhist teaching. You don't have to rely on compassion or anything. In this kind of field of science, you can be, as critical as you can, because your ultimate goal is to benefit the humanity. Recently, I visited a research lab, especially focusing on neuroscience. And the discovery is amazing because we found out the neurons, like 1,000 of neurons in a single head. And because of this discovery, they also bring cure to certain neural disease and so on. So for that, you don't have to be influenced by your Buddhist teaching because your ultimate goal is benefiting many people. And the answer to our other friend is, yes, you're right. indigenous Indian Buddhist teaching is like really almost like wiped out in India. That's true, almost like non-exist. Then recently the trend is now more and more Indians are studying Tibetan Buddhism. So I think the spread of the Tibetan Buddhism to the Indian community or the society is growing. That's very clear. And also, not only Tibetan Buddhism, I think in the future in India, the Buddhism from the Sri Lanka, Thailand, from Burma, and some of the Mahayana teaching will gradually maybe go back to its root, to India. So this indigenous form of Indian Buddhism may not resurface again, but new form of Buddhist teaching may go back to and grow in India, and that's my feeling.
Yes, okay. Thank you so much, Rinpoche, for answering my question. It was mostly answered already. This is on the topic of what this young lady and someone else referred to about not being too wrapped up in the suffering of someone you're caring for. And I happen to be in a profession that involves touch. It's working with the body. And I find that this is a constant question. And one thinks it's physical, but in fact, in my years of experience, you're really massaging someone's mind more than their body. And so one is sometimes, I hate to use this word, but it's the best that comes to mind, almost absorbing the suffering that you're touching if you are not vigilant and very clear in your mind. And even with the best of intentions, sometimes at the end of the intention's easier at the beginning of the week, and it might be by the end of a very busy week. One can feel quite challenged, if physically or energetic. You almost have to be an energetic athlete or a mental athlete more than a physical athlete. I think people in other professions, probably nursing and physical therapy and many other physically oriented professions, have this experience. It is the mind, but it is like the physical, there's a physical component that, it might show up physically, subconsciously somehow. It's a little tricky to manage. I will say that I've had the good fortune to practice with Lama Sonam and Khenpo Chopel and other teachers, and it's been amazing to me the actual physical result from mental practice, for lack of a better word, like the quality of my contact with clients. So it's been very interesting. But it's a constant practice for those of us in this profession long term. So if any more advice, or if that clarifies some of the question. Sure. Thank you. Thank you so much.
지 만바지 기던 잠보는 것도나 하 레바가 또 샘치 몸보라 또 판토고 요래 대나 다 저런 주바지 있나라 주바 마얀바 가서 대란다나 레니 소소고 몸보시고 다 대란 저와 탐치 그 자마 있는 초서래 대인데 레니 소소고 몸보시고나 대 오네가 다 랑글레카다 강 옛나라 대니 아잔라 판바토나 대 안가 당보래 가티 즉 판밥 주치가 니바다 지치 텐자 메나야 드네 소도 아잔라 노밤 시키도 가르침보리 마츠 나추가 탁바 침보 추즈기도 드네 아잔라 판바데다리 추다나 아잔라 노바데 추마요 제요레 데나 다지 추고마즈이나 드네 아잔나타 타나 금니즈이나라는 삼바 넘버 딱바위시니나 야보레 대당 자와가 마츠 레니 강당 강이나라 다 잔라 판반도 가르침보리 시집고 다 납쇼거 타와이나 지 장데 소원전 요원도 지 마츠스타와 타모 마인 바즈레 대열 거래 다 장데 소메니나 데네 잔데양 로탑고 마레단 디능거 데네 잔판도 마츠르겐도 다지 샘토코 마진나 데네 랑라양 데네 럼지 디다리가 다 판바침보도 좀 종용이 진야래
그래서 I appreciate your comment. The working in a massage, I think a field, is really very useful. It's a form of medical practices. I actually received some massage on my back when I had a back problem, and it's really helpful. It relieves my suffering. From a Mahayana point of view, doctors or any profession which really delivers direct benefit to our client and customer is a form of Dharma practices. And therefore, what you do is bring direct, I think, relief of sufferings on others. And if you do this with the proper intention, it's amazing practices. I'm saying this to the doctors, a lot of you, these people here are in a kind of very good field, meaning that your practices bring benefit rather than any harm to the human society, including giving massage and so on. So which is really a great profession, and I really admire that. Because I can maybe sum up my talk on this answer. The Buddhist teaching and the philosophy can be summed up in 2 words. You constantly try to help others, bring benefit to others. That's what we have to do. And what we don't do is bring harm to others. So if you wanted to determine whether you're following Buddhist teaching or not, you can use these 2 the criterions. If you and your work are helping others, well, that's you're doing the right thing. If you and your work is harming others, we have to stop that and try to change that. So in essence, Dharma practice is basically to bring benefit to others. So we have 4 minutes left, so we'll have the final question.
Different ways of studying the Dharma. Like when we're just studying things ourselves based on our own research, we may arrive at an understanding of a philosophical treatise, and even if it's just Mahayana, like Dotsini Tekpa, it might have a different understanding of it than the tradition does because we research it ourselves, study many different things, and sometimes have some doubts, like when it comes to practice, is it possible to really gain certainty in the view? Is it possible to get certainty in the view or really use this understanding to tame afflictive emotions if it's something that I just arrived at through my own research instead of it being something that came from a lineage of interpretation?
Your own kind of experience through your self-study.
Yeah, through my self-study, yeah.
Okay, and so the question is
is it really important, even at the level of Mahayana, like not Vajrayana, to base any of our understandings of the Dharma on the oral lineage of interpretation? Yeah.
That chope java bozereso. Tanguni matsu shirtanga lopchaga, lopcha chongchong, lopcha mjanga, lopcha chembo. Tene jimjik badam bonram bakang yana. Girgin matena, then shirtanga ti tip de la tena zamzuka yabozuk tare shitaka yomare. Then zambolanka, then rolik tere. That de mayamba ngatsunga perna mamba in Nanjaga, Moja Kalova in Nanjaga, Taton Nirkana, Girgina matena, Girginga lapchatemena, de yabozuk tare shigomare. De dan Javago, Matsu Nanchu deyang, Jig Rankerka, Ta Shisha, Perna Lopjaga, Loptep. 오늘 제 나추가 다리 난돈도 잡고요래. 이 난돈데 잡고때 문에 장에 그 기후신인데라 도마 땡고래. 가때 때 마때는 랑커가 다지 그런 거 빼몽보스가 단적에서 있나? 이 쇼크 잠스 거래. 다 당선 점직바 몽보스 거는 측 잠스 그 코나 점직 막도 되면 돈데 고건 말해. 그러나 도그까나 니돈다 장돈제지. 공바당 dem공제지. 되네 생각하면 다 즉서르지 등 타즉 서르지이다 차트 몸부즈고 거래 대초 기시연이 남았더니나 랑커가 별로 잠스 고건 말이 델리장 냠는 그 망어 거쳤대나 델레야 다리가 다 라왕 기시연이 남았더니 랑커가 때 예화서 고탑고요 말이 대나 인치 민치메가 되네 다 냠는 있나 뭐 막고 바래 델리장 점직 실고 나라나 다 지금 대 추대가 다 롱다 처요사가 계시연이 되네나 되네 점직되라요 할레바가 그 판바요너래.
I think relying on teacher is really, really important. But first of all, I wanted to say thank you for your question. This is a really good question. When we go to school, middle school, college, university, we have to rely on teacher. This is, even a mundane education, one has to rely on a teacher. Then if you're studying like a medicine or even you're learning how to drive, you will rely on an instructor. You wouldn't just, go to pick up a book and do that from kind of a manual. Therefore, of course, Buddhist teaching is a very unique set of knowledge. It has the relative meanings, as I mentioned before. Then there's a definitive meanings. That's what we're talking about for sutra. For tantra, even much more profound areas of, like instruction that has to come through teacher's pithy instruction, meaning the teacher's experiential instruction. And these are not clearly revealed in books. And therefore, to really learn properly, it's really important for you to rely on an experienced and a proper teacher. Because not mentioning about the general information and the knowledge about Buddhist teaching, especially when you talk about practices. The practices really come from the power of the teacher's pithy instruction. Your realization is pretty much closely related to how you really receive the instruction and how you put this into practices. Even if you wanted to study Buddhism for a scholarly research purpose, you will maybe have a much better result if you rely on a teacher. So there's no question about relying on the teacher, and just relying on kind of books and essays and articles. It will be very shallow, I think, knowledge.